This is what children are seeing. This is what they're learning about crossing the street. If it's not taught to them either directly or through some other means of teaching in other ways about how you're supposed to think about space and interacting with people, then we're going to have problems, because that's how people are going to walk across the street. And then you have to institute things like walking, lights, you have to put up lights and all these things. So we're fixing the problem with lights, with machines, instead of addressing the problem, which is how people think. That's why I focused most of this afternoon on abstract things as opposed to specific things, because it's all back to ideas. We're all great minds in the room, we have to think about ideas. And wrapping up, we need to see ourselves as solutions to the problems. You might not have a direct hand in everything. One of the examples that I have here is about slavery. Slavery can change forms. We talked about mental slavery. And we've moved in some degree from the field to the factory. I looked at a documentary recently about Walmart and about how they treat persons in China. And so you have persons over there who are working, dripping in sweat. I'm up here a lot, but they are dripping in sweat as per this documentary. I can't remember the name right now off the top. But in this documentary, and they're dripping in sweat for hours to produce toys for next to no money. And we don't think about it. We don't think about it because we hear it cool. We play with those toys. 18 cents it costs Walmart, and we're paying $14. And I can tell you that the production cost is usually, you multiply that by about 6, or whatever cost, you multiply that by about 6. So you can imagine what the people are actually making. Nothing. Alright, so you might not see yourself as the solution to problems, but if you change your habits of consumption, if you start thinking about what's happening elsewhere, because it could be you, as a matter of fact it was. It still is in some ways. Literally, the last 3 things I have to say are: understand, don't just tolerate people. You may agree to disagree, but you have to really try to understand why people do what it is they do. You have to have these discussions, and we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to have these problems of racist police in America, racist team owners, all these other things because of it. The solution to the problem of racist police is body cameras. That's what they're proposing. But that doesn't change the mentality. Like I said, yesterday you were racist, today you're going to be racist too, unless there was some solid intervention that showed you something and it clicked. So a camera is not going to change it. A camera is a neutral thing. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And I want you to practice principled thinking. All this talking up here that I'm doing doesn't mean that I'm flawless. It's the second to last thing I'm going to say. It doesn't mean that I'm flawless. As a matter of fact, I try very hard to live this way, live the way that I'm talking about. Even when it comes to appearance, I've always pretty much been a confident person, but I find myself trying to desensitize myself so that I can exercise my freedom truly. So recently, you might have seen me, or may not, walking into the National Bank. And National Bank is always full. And I had all the same thing at the square: a short pants, a vest, and 1-2 holes that the place had to need some ventilation, and my hair up in a puff. And I'm serious, I'm not doing it for attention. I'm doing it because I want to care less about what people think about me. Because if I ever find myself in the position where I can't do better, I need to know I'm still worth it. I know that there are people who talk about, I've heard when I was even younger that there are women who say, I can't go downtown in colors because I look naked. You can't go downtown in colors. Today I went downtown in some joggers, short pants, cotton pants, bedroom pants I call it, and a vest with holes. You need to desensitize yourself to it. You need to grow within yourself, evolve as a person before we actually have any change. The last thing is, there's this quote by Carter G. Woodson, the author of, it's a quote from that book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And I've seen a couple versions of this, but either way, the thinking is what I really want to share. If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there is no back door, his very nature will demand one. And I'm closing. Well, I've pretty much closed. And I want to say that the relevance of that is if you think back on all I've discussed this afternoon, everything I've discussed again has been pretty much abstract. It's challenging the way we think in its entirety. Even the good things, the entitlements we think we have. We think, for instance, parents should automatically be respected. Principally, I think everybody should be respected. And that covers it. It covers parents, it covers children. We think that they're entitled to respect, but are they really entitled to respect? The reason I had sinus problems when I was younger, and I did have sinus problems when I was younger, is my mother's fault. If I wasn't born, I wouldn't have had it. It's my father's fault. But I'm just showing you that there could be two ways to perceive things. And so these rules that we set up, like older people need respect, they're going to get us in problems, either now or later. But if we say everybody deserves respect, parent and child deserves respect, then automatically we'll have what I call solutions without side effects. Thank you for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. While Mr. Ervin Welsh facilitated this conversation, he said before to see it's a conversation, not a lecture, and a truly interactive feedback from you all. So give yourselves a round of applause as well. In the next 10 minutes, the climax of our festival, the concert, is going to kick off. Allow me that note to acknowledge the presence of Sir Corbin Innes, the president of the Brimstone Society, who will shortly be giving the welcome remarks at that. So that's a hint for everybody to usher yourselves on the hill to our next event. Thank you all for coming, Mr. Welsh. Thank you very much again. And this was stimulating food for thought. Give them the theme, I have a dream, and my dream is freedom and equality. Thank you again, folks, and see you in a couple minutes at the concert.